We're back. Welcome to the Seekers Chronicles Paranormal Historians, where the history meets the paranormal. And we're back for another great show. Like we
Yeah.
always, these shows is, we have such great guests lately, and it's awesome. So, so how you doing, Jenny? How you
I'm doing
doing?
great. Episode 94, people.
94.
Not sick of me yet? Everybody's pouring in. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Yeah. So, how was your weekend? Anything good? Anything bad? Hey.
It was good. It was good. I did a purposefully quiet weekend. I did some volunteering,
Oh, nice.
and
Okay.
yeah, and some exciting stuff came out of it actually. At most of you know who watch the show regularly, I volunteer at a historical home near me, built in 1725. Really important house in this area. And they asked me to, I've investigated it probably 6 times, but they asked me to let the public in a little bit and talk to them a little bit about some of my investigations and maybe let them participate a little bit if they'd like, just to get some young, new blood into these places because these beautiful museums, right? Like they often are looking for young people to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a way respectfully to do it, I'm all for it. So it was the first time they asked. So we're going to be hosting something in the spring. So I was really honored that they trusted me.
That's great. It's good to get the kids. All they know is what they see on video
Yeah.
games or,
Or the
just
ghost
all
shows.
day long they're
Yeah.
like this. And that's
Yeah.
where they get all the information from,
Yeah.
which is not bad. There's more information out there than when we were kids, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
And so to get them off their computers or cell phones or wherever they were on to actually physically go to a location. I think that's awesome.
I
That's
agree.
awesome.
I
You
agree.
know?
And these are important places, that we don't want to lose, that we want to preserve. So
Yeah. That's
um,
that's what it is to keep the history going.
that's why we do it. That's why we do it. So
Yeah.
I'm exciting. So stay tuned. Event in the spring.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
we're already starting to book next year. That's why I gotta talk. We got an April one we were supposed to do, and I got to get together
That's
with you on that.
correct.
I didn't
You
get a
mean that I
chance to book
won?
it.
That I won?
Oh yeah, that's the place. I keep on forgetting. I'm like,
I'm just
I,
giving you a hard time. Giving
you
you a
could
hard time.
tell them. There's nothing behind that, is
No, I
there?
won. I won in a raffle. I won an overnight investigation at the Doss House in Pennsylvania. So here we go. I
That's
understand I'm
awesome.
going to be shoved in a crawl space or something because I'm tiny.
Oh
I'm not. I'm
yeah,
not tiny. I'm super tall, but yeah,
yeah. Well, they need a skinny person to get into a crawl
yeah.
space, which I love. I used to go in, but I'm not skinny no more. I'm like a cork in a bottle. I'll go in, get stuck, forget about it. I'm not getting nowhere. They're gonna pull
We
me
can get
out.
him in, but we can't get him out.
They'll pull me out by my legs and hear pop like a champagne bottle. That's how I
Oh,
come out of that thing. So no way I'm getting to any little spaces. So since Jenny is what are you about 92 pounds, soaking wet. So we'll throw her in there. We'll crumple her up and just toss her in and see what
I
happens from
know,
there.
right?
You
And I'm like, all right, okay.
know, she's like, okay. It's like that old commercial. Oh, don't worry, Mikey likes it. But we say, yeah, Jenny likes it, and she'll jump in there. Yeah.
So we got Jenny's breaking up and Anthony is too. Does anybody else hear us breaking up? That's a first.
I'm breaking up.
I wonder if it's Melissa's new place.
Yeah, Melissa, you're bringing us some juju out of that thing there.
Uh-oh. I think we're bringing the high strangeness already.
Are we breaking up? I don't know. I don't see anything that's
No, I don't know. Nobody else said anything, so let's just
okay.
pretend we're not. No, let us know, friends.
Hmm. All right.
Okay?
So we have a great guest tonight, and so we're gonna bring him in. I love to hear
Yeah.
his stories and stuff, and there's a couple of
Oh
things I
yeah.
liked that he was involved in. So that'd be cool.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
To hear issues while you It was my TV having issues.
It's buffering. Uh-oh. New. This is brand in 94 episodes. This hasn't happened. I think I'm going to blame our guest.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm getting echo now, huh?
What?
I hear echoes coming from me.
No, you're good.
No, I hear the echo come back when I'm talking.
Oh.
Okay, we're having issues.
Paranormal activity.
Yeah, if you can't
No.
fix it,
Yeah.
it's paranormal.
Oh. Okay, so Bobby, our producer, says it's StreamYard. So we're going to try and push
Okay.
through it. It's been having issues lately. So, all right, we're going to try and push through it,
All
guys.
right. So let's get the guests in before
Yeah.
Dion knocks us off or anything.
Yeah,
that,
really?
that wouldn't be cool.
No, it would not be cool. Not at all. Like I said,
All
first
right.
time.
Nope.
Um,
Announce them. Yeah, tell them.
yeah. Okay, so this I'm very excited because I actually have watched this person before, read some things that he's written. And I've got my book, Oh Questions, ready. Um, I can't wait for to take some of my theories and talk about some of his theories and put them together and see what happens. So, you guys are ready for that now.
Yes,
Tonight we
we're
have
ready.
our new friend, Randy Liebeck. He's an investigator, writer, and consultant on paranormal phenomena. Let's bring him in.
Here he
Hi,
is.
Randy.
How
Hey,
you
Jenny.
doing?
It's great to be
Can you
here.
hear us okay?
I can hear you, but I do hear the echo from all of us.
Really?
Yeah,
We're
I
all
can
getting echo.
hear Anthony echoing.
Yeah.
I don't hear it.
Our producer said StreamYard. So yeah, I hear the echo too.
Is it bad? Like, can you hear us all right or no?
Issues.
I
It's
think I think everybody is can be heard and understood. It's just a
Okay.
weird effect.
we're gonna get a feedback. So let's go with the show. Hey, the show must go on. Yes, you can hear
Yeah.
more of us.
Well, Melissa says, now I can't hear anyone. All right.
Sorry. So
Sorry, Melissa.
well,
So, okay,
you
thanks,
might as well start the
Bobby.
show and
Yeah, let's do it.
continue
We're going to be fine.
whatever you want. So, Randy, how you doing? How's everything?
Everything is good.
It's
Good. Good.
it threw us off with the echo in the show.
Yeah.
It's throwing us off a little bit, but we're gonna get through it. We have to.
Maybe
Yeah.
by the end of the show, we'll explain it.
Yeah.
Amazing stereo surround sound, and we're not paying extra for it.
Yeah, that's right. Surround sound. I remember those days. Surround sound.
Speaking of remembering those days, I'm going to let you two reminisce about the origins of Randy's story in the paranormal because I think you guys have a lot in common. At least in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Yes.
So you want to
Yes.
tell your story, Randy? How you got into it? So you got started off and everything like that.
Uh, what got me into it as a child of 6, 7, 8 years old was learning how to read. I would read voraciously if there was a book or a magazine in the house, or if not, the back of a cereal box. But my grandmother subscribed to Fate magazine, which is the world's oldest continuously published magazine on the paranormal since 1948.
Oh wow.
So those were some of the first pieces of reading material I had in the house as I was learning how to read. So from the get-go, other kids were learning about Dick and Jane chasing after their dog Spot. I was reading about poltergeists, ESP investigations, UFOs, the Loch Ness monster. So my fascination with weird stuff came very early on, and the interest just grew up with me. And eventually, instead of reading uh, children's books on the subject, I was reading books by J.B. Rhine, parapsychology literature. And then eventually I said, well, let me use some of this little bit of knowledge I have and actually go out in the field and see if I can find or experience anything. So I started actually doing field work in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and have been sporadically since then. As I was telling Anthony, I am not as active in anywhere near as much as you guys are. I see your Facebook post, and especially you, Jenny. You're here, you're there, you're doing this.
All over.
I do it sporadically. If something interests me, or if I'm asked in to look into something, I'll do it. But I'm not out there like aggressively hunting stuff down anymore. I'm an old man now. I like to relax.
No, you're not. Stop. He's old. You're not, Randy. So
Thanks.
so tell us about sightings, because that's one of our favorites.
Uh,
You used to read that.
One of my favorite shows back in the day. Before Sightings, I grew up watching In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy as the host. All my favorite shows. And then we had Sightings after that in the early to mid to late 90s. And they had reached out to me a couple of times because I was a police officer at the time and had stuff written about me in the news media. And they thought it was a cool approach, cop by day, Ghostbuster by night. So they would ask me to consult on cases. They would tell me what they were looking into, what the reports were, and ask my opinion. Does this sound legitimate? Does this sound, what would you call this? Is this a poltergeist or is this a haunting? Or do you think the reporters are just full of crap? So I did that just out of the goodness of my heart, because I watched the show and I was thrilled to be, asked by the production crew to help. Eventually, they trusted me enough; they started paying me to do it. So I would get regular phone calls. Few times they flew me out to locations to actually be on site. Some of those they flew me out to 5 investigations that they were filming, 4 of which actually became broadcast episodes, and 3 I was on camera in. The 4th one I was filmed, but I guess they thought they didn't like the way I'd styled my hair that day, and I was cut out of the finished project. So 3 on cameras with them, but a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And it was a good source of beer money back in the day. And I got flown to places and exposed to cases and interviewed people that they paid for, the travel and the hotel, and I got paid a consultant's fee. So it was great to having somebody paying me to go out and do stuff that I love doing and to see places I probably would never been able to go to on my own.
I hear you. Yeah, I mean, just to get paid, that's unheard of, but
So
back then, I'm trying to play with the echo here.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the source. Back then, getting paid for anything like that, it's like like you said, it's unheard of. Because most people frowned on what was going on.
Well, back then, there were not 5 million amateur ghost hunters and ghost hunting clubs out there. There was a handful of people who had established reputations in the field. My buddy Al Rauber, Kerry Gaynor, Lloyd Auerbach, and then eventually me to a lesser degree. But we were regarded by at least the production team of being credible, experienced people. And we got paid for our expertise or our efforts on their behalf. Now there are so many. I mean, you do an internet search. I think in the U.S. there's like 6,000 plus ghost hunting groups which have at least a Facebook page or a website. And with that many people out there who claim to be paranormal investigators, there's no need to pay anybody, because you're going to the production team is going to find somebody who just wants to be on TV.
For sure.
So, but after Sightings, I did some work for Unsolved Mysteries, never on camera, just behind the scenes stuff, background research. There was a show on for a while called Dead Famous with Chris Fleming, going around to different places. I worked on that show a couple of times. and done different documentaries. Did a documentary in the UK called Ghost Hunters. They flew me over there to investigate a haunted location,
Mhm.
and
Cool.
several things like that. I did a MSNBC special documentary on America's Most Haunted. So they flew me out to places. So that was the thrill. I'm getting paid to do stuff that I love doing.
That's the coolest part when you get paid for it like that. And like you're right, nowadays with YouTube and all these other channels, there's so many paranormal investigators out there that the shows come and they just, oh, they'll interview you, and then it's like the show, they don't pay you for it because, and they throw it out there, and they're making money off the show, and your face is one of the people. I've been on a couple shows like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they don't really pay you for it, and
Randy, do you know Penny Morgan?
Does not ring a bell.
Penny Morgan. Okay, she's in the UK. I just when you mentioned everything you had done, I thought you might. And she's a young lady, but you may remember her. She's on Help My House is Haunted. She's the historian.
Never seen that. Unfortunately.
Okay, but I just thought maybe your paths may have crossed it, with the UK work.
yeah. Well, UK's pretty big,
I know, but I mean in terms of the field, and she's a little bit older like us, so she's been doing this a long
Most
time.
of the people that I work with in the UK through the Society for Psychical Research and
Mhm.
the Association for the Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomena, most of my colleagues are on the more academic parapsychology university level. And I am not an academic, and I am not a parapsychologist, but that's the crowd I work with as an assistant or an associate. So I do know a lot of people over there, most of them university based. I do know a handful of people like us, though, over there, the field investigators, the laymen. Uh, Penny, though, unfortunately, I've not met yet.
Yeah,
She's a great writer
she's more of
too.
a
Maybe you'll
historian
pick
than
up a book.
actually an investigator or anything. She's a historian, and she actually worked for the show as a historian. So she really, doesn't go out, and she will, and she has gone out with investigators and stuff. Because when she came into the United States, I investigated her myself.
Right.
Yeah. She's an
She's
author.
a she's a consultant too. That's why I asked, because you'd done some consulting on shows and she's a consultant on shows. So, and there's
And
not many. It's
I,
not like there's
I just want
17,000
to
shows.
apologize for this echo.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get it off.
I can't hear it, so it's all good. If you want to go out and come back, Randy and I'll hang out.
I'm hearing everybody, even you.
Oh, really?
You
Okay.
think it's me?
Well,
I wouldn't worry until you start hearing people who are not here.
oh no, that's happened.
That's the whole new.
That's happened. We've had stuff on our show happen on our show. We had somebody have to leave because he was at a haunted location and everything was kicking off at once, and we finally were like, "We think you need to get out." It was wild. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
maybe it is me.
as you know, I'm a nerd. You probably heard. I'm like a huge nerd. I'm a scientist. I'm a skeptic. I'm a critical thinker, that kind of thing. So you and I've got like a book of questions. So I hope you're ready for that because I disagree. I mean, you say you're not an academic, but I think you're incredibly intelligent. Like I said, I've read your things. I've watched you, and I'm looking forward to getting your take on a lot of things. So. The first question I have though is you said you went to a lot of locations with these shows. Can you tell us some of your favorites?
A lot I can't yet. If I tag along on somebody's investigation, I get invited to go different places with people.
Yeah.
And I'm worried if I show up and things have been happening there every time the other investigators go. I show up, then nothing happens. I think I have an inhibiting field that just saturates the environment. And ain't no ghost gonna come out and say, "Well, I'm there."
Ain't no ghost.
They're like, he's not going to believe us anyway. Take a break.
Listen, I am going to actually go out and come
Okay,
back in.
go ahead. I'm going to
Good
start
night for me.
asking
If
some.
it is me,
I'm getting right into it because
okay.
I'm
You
ready.
guys continue. I'll be right back.
All right. Um, Wait, Jenny had, okay, so there's lots of comments for you, and everybody's so thrilled to have you here. I see all these people saying how interesting you are, and
They won't let me leave the studio.
there's a replica of, evidently, there's a replica of Stonehenge in Texas with Adam. Okay, pretty cool. I didn't,
Technology cannot ignore that because there are documented cases, there are credible experiences reported. So several people who I know, again, in the academic arena, are writing books and giving presentations at conferences on high strangeness. And I'm fascinated by that concept because, first of all, looking at the paranormal, even looking at what we've always been told it is since the 1800s, and then since the parapsychology in the 1930s, it's it's ESP, it's telepathy, it's clairvoyance, it's psychokinesis, and those things work like this, and they do this and they don't do this, and even that is mind blowing because that's stuff that your conventional science tells us shouldn't be happening at all. But once we accept that stuff does happen, we just can't explain it, but it does happen. Now we're faced with the realization there's a lot more weird shit that goes on, which is not, it's just A, B, or C. People say, oh, in poltergeist cases, people don't see apparitions. It's either a haunting with an apparition or it's a poltergeist, because they're poltergeist cases are actually the rarest case for a researcher to be able to investigate, because poltergeist cases come up, they occur quickly over a period of days, weeks, if you're lucky, a couple of months. And by the time a researcher becomes aware of the case and then can make arrangements, because some of us have day jobs, and I can't just hop into a plane and fly to California on a day's notice. And the TV shows aren't calling me anymore to fly me out there. So a lot of people are in the same position I am. There's no funding, and cases are over with. Even if you could get out there, days, weeks, months. So they pop up, they burn out, and they fade away. Unlike a haunting, where you can have a location where people experience haunting phenomena for years, decades, even centuries in some cases. So I have worked a couple of poltergeist cases, and those were ones that sightings flew me out to while they were ongoing, and I did experience a few things. I have been called on individual personal level by experiencers to say, hey, Randy, I got this stuff going on in my house. It's going on right now. Can you come take a look at it? He goes, well, I'm in New Jersey. Where are you? Well, I'm in Nova Scotia.
right.
So more stuff that fits into the haunting or apparitional arena, because there's not that time rush element to get to it before it's over with. But I will say that the dividing line between a haunting and a poltergeist is not as thick of a line as, again, we've been told for decades that it is. People do see apparitions in poltergeist cases. A lot of hauntings, which mainstream parapsychology says is a purely perceptual phenomena. You're seeing, hearing, smelling, sensing, but the physical environment is not manipulated. You're not going to see a door open and close. You're not going to see an ashtray fly across the room. Guess what? It does happen in hauntings. Not as often as seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling things, but in a certain percentage of ghost cases, apparitional hauntings, physical stuff does occur. So the line is not as solid a line. There's a lot of crossover between the phenomena, and this extends into UAP encounters. People will see a UFO, have a close encounter, and then after they get back home, they start experiencing poltergeist phenomena in their house, or start having psychic visions. So a lot of this stuff is intertwined, and I think a lot of the labels that we say, okay, this is this, and they're separate things. A lot of us are thinking that the separation is not that solid. Some
That's
researchers, a colleague of mine, John Fraser in the UK, and Darren Ritson in the UK, are suspecting that a lot of this stuff is the same underlying force or same underlying phenomena. It's just manifesting differently to different people. And some people will experience UFO sighting or alien close encounter. Some people will have a poltergeist. Some people will just see and hear footsteps in their house. But maybe it's the same energy, the same force. Darren would say it's the same entity, non-human intelligence. So different takes on this, and I'm not sure what my take is, but I am aware that there is a lot of over and crossover in this stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Excuse me, Jenny. If you keep
Yeah.
on seeing me putting you on your mic on mute and my mic, I've been noticing less echoes with that. Have you? Well, if if you have the next question, just take it off mute. All right. I don't hear an echo right now, so
well,
You're quiet though. You're
I'm going
better,
to
but
turn
you're
my
quiet.
mic off just for a second and see
Yeah.
if because that we can maybe tell who it's coming from. So if you still hear it off that.
there is a
Yeah.
thing for echo, canceling echo on
Yeah.
the microphone, so that
Just
might be on the screen.
it's
Can you
our
hear me,
in
Jenny?
94 episodes we've not haven't had it happen, so we're just learning.
So
Okay,
is
my
it in my?
microphone off. I did not hear you guys echoing, but
Okay.
now that my mic's back on, I hear all of us echoing. So I'm off.
Okay. Okay. Well, there we go.
And guys, I think it's my mic. So what we're going to do, I'm going to switch microphones
Okay.
and cameras real quickly.
Perfect. Take your time.
Because I was putting Jenny, I was putting us you and I on mic on, and I didn't hear no echo from him. So I figured just
Okay,
let it
perfect.
stuff like that.
Anthony, you're quite quiet though now. I can barely hear you, which is a first.
You must be happy for that one.
Yeah, that was nice.
Finally quiet.
Okay, I switched microphones,
And
but I still hear the echo.
oh no,
Yeah.
we press forward.
Can you
As
hear me
long as
now,
we can
Jen?
understand each other. I know this is so funny, right?
Yeah, I know.
I
This is
promise this never happens. It's always like when it's somebody that you know or you don't want this to happen to. Um,
yeah, well, everybody we don't want it to happen to. Can
no,
you
but
hear
you know
me
what I
now, or
mean.
am I too low?
You're a little low, but but I can hear you. Plus, I already know what you're going to say anyway,
I just
because I
switched
have
to a
ESP
third
with you.
microphone.
Yeah.
So
All right, so crossover. I agree with you. I feel like we talk about on the show a lot. We talk about how people in this field sometimes start at the conclusion, right, rather than starting at the beginning and see where it takes you, sort of thing, and being open to all possibilities. And it doesn't have to fit into a category or fit into A, B, and C, like you said. You know, maybe there's G or Z, and I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
well, I've been noticing too with this, what's going on with it, with everything too. Now everything has to have some kind of label, like you said. Everything's a
Yeah.
label. Everything's a label. You know, because I guess that's what everybody now has to associate themselves with some kind of label or some kind of title. You know, for being the paranormal. So,
Right.
you know,
Exactly. I mean, you say poltergeist, but that's a big term too, right? Like, I mean, that can encompass so many things. So,
yeah.
and have so many subcategories and you know, I just think that's great. I love the way you think of it.
Yeah, German word for noisy ghost. That's what it means.
and there are, I mean, there are some real categories. I mean, poltergeist cases in general are physical. Things move,
Right.
objects are manipulated, uh, and you have that's the primary phenomena. But you'll also have haunting activity going on. People will still hear footsteps, hear voices, they'll see an apparition. Usually a haunting is perceptual, not very physical, but you will have physical stuff. So, but we do use the two labels, haunting and poltergeists, separately because the cases that we can fit under one of those categories does primarily, on the surface at least, seem to fit well into that category.
I mean,
When we go
it
in
presents a certain way, but then it can have subtleties and crossover.
when we go
is
into
what you're saying.
investigation, sometimes, and a lot I know happens, there are stuff being tossed or moved around, and there is some kind of activity going on in the background, like you said, footsteps and stuff. Would you consider that a poltergeist event because something was moving, or just a haunting that? Because sometimes I feel it's just a haunting, maybe one spirit, but poltergeist means more than one. You know.
Well, actually, the parapsychological model for a poltergeist is that it's not a spirit; it's a living person in the environment who is subconsciously sending psychokinetic energy of some sort into the environment and affecting stuff, like a adolescent having a temper tantrum, and where a normal person would actually pick up a shoe and throw it against the wall or slam their door. In these cases, there is something to that, because we can identify poltergeist focuses and poltergeist agents. There are people, either individuals or groups of people in a family, who, when they get together, that's when the stuff happens. And it doesn't happen if they're not around. So there's definitely a connection with a living person. But like I said, sometimes these things get complicated. There are well-attested and experienced and documented cases where there's no identifiable agent for it. There's no one person who has to be around. Stuff moves from house to house through a process which we call contagion. So some of this does appear to be an intelligence behind it, but we can't identify living human intelligence behind it. So maybe in some of these cases, something else is going on. Again, a lot of researchers in the parapsychology field, cover their ears and cover their eyes and go, no, that does not fit the accepted model. But the scientific method is that you make observations. And based on those observations, you make a prediction about what's going to happen next time and under what circumstances. Then you test that. And if things happen differently or your expectations are not met, then you have to revise and re-observe and modify your hypothesis, then reset. That's the method. You can't go into this, especially as a new investigator. Going out with a ghost hunting group and going to a place and say, okay, I know there's a spirit here. It's an angry spirit here, and no doubt it was from the orphanage, in the 1800s, across the street from the Jenny Wade house, and because the kids were traumatized. Well, no, you don't know that. You know that people report activity. People hear sounds, they see sights, they feel things touch them, objects move. That's what you know. And then you have to apply the hypothesis. Okay, there was an orphanage here. Maybe, there's some connection. So you do experiments. You might want to bring out some children's toys and try to use target objects. That's part of the scientific process, and see if that works, see if you get results. If you don't, you try something else. But your conclusions about what is going on and why it's going on have to be based on the investigation by your observations and testing. You don't show up at a location saying, "Oh, it's this and this and this." Because if that's the case, if you already know what's going on and why it's going on, why are we even bothering going out into the field to do an investigation if we already know the answer? Right? So,
correct. That's.
I think we have to pay respect to the investigative process.
Because everything you said is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. You don't start at the
we'll trigger
begin. You
out
don't start
that.
at the end. You don't start at the conclusion.
Yeah, and
Um,
we always try to, you know, try to do it, next, if we go to another time, we have, if it's not, we don't have it written down. And that's how what my drawings are kind of also. It's documents of what happened, with us at that time. And then we would go back, we see if we can find the same thing or something that happened with that.
Okay, Brandy, I know like Jenny and Anthony doesn't have it, but do you have any other tabs or programs that are playing the audio from this studio?
no, it's
If
and
so,
you're
they need to
echoing
be
as well,
closed down.
Bobby.
Yeah, you're
You're
getting it.
echoing as well.
All I have running is StreamYard.
All
Okay,
you
you're
have is
good.
StreamYard,
Yeah.
then I guess
Yeah.
your best bet is you might have to get like a headset or a headphones, and that usually would cancel like everything out.
All right. Yeah, you're echoing a lot, Bobby.
Okay, Ron.
Okay. Thanks for helping.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm trying to do my best.
You're doing great. Thank you, Bobby. You're the
Thank you.
best. Um, I I know you're doing you're speaking at the Paranormal Symposium in Gettysburg on August 22nd. And I'm also speaking the same day at Stockton University, and we have a little bit of overlap. And here's what my question is for you. Okay, I've definitely worked cases where I've been able to remove an individual from a home or a location, and it definitely, the activity is definitely affected, right? And you're looking for that. One of the words that I wanted to add was not just, this, you use the scientific method, you're looking for repetition. You're looking to find something that repeats, right? Like I don't like the word evidence. I like the word data. I don't think we're getting evidence of anything. Like, are you really proving anything? I don't think so. But you may get a good scientific method, but you're not proving, oh, it was a ghost. None of us really know that, right? Like, unless you're looking at it and it's saying, hi, I'm a ghost, kind of thing. I don't know. Like, but I don't know. I'm very skeptical of that. I don't like to make jumps. You know what I mean, Randy? Like, I don't like to make jumps from, oh, that's evidence of something. But yes,
Well,
you
it's,
can get
it's evidence.
repeatable, you can get
Anything you
repeatable
collect,
data.
any data you collect is evidence. Then you evaluate the evidence, and then you might toss it out, saying this is useless, or this doesn't, show anything, or this, hey, this seems to suggest something. That is evidence. What it is not is proof. And
Exactly. But
we've not
I
proved.
think that in this field, people use the word evidence like proof, is what I'm trying to say. That's why I don't like to use it, because I think when people say I got evidence, they mean I have proof that a ghost was there, but that's not evidence.
Terminology and definitions of words uh, are a bit confusing for people who don't have a literature background in the field and uh, use terms which might be the same terms that we use, but they're applying different meanings to them. Like
True.
in a haunting, where I said that's mainly perceptual. You're hearing, seeing, feeling, smelling something, but there's nothing there actually reflecting light. So you're seeing something, but you can't photograph it because it's bypassing your eyes. It's actually just being picked up by the visual receptor area of the brain and processed. If you're hearing sounds, they sound like footsteps or pounding, but you turn on a tape recorder and nothing shows up on the tape recorder. That means it's purely perceptual inside the brain. And the clinical definition for that is an hallucination. Haunting activity is largely hallucinatory. In fact, the Society for Psychical Research in the 1880s did their first major research project, which came out with a book called A Census of Hallucinations, and as people reporting seeing apparitions. And even back then, the scientists realized it's hallucinatory. It's not saying it's not real. It's saying whatever you're perceiving is bypassing the five normal senses and is being perceived directly psychically by the brain. So the term is it's an hallucination, but I try to refrain from using that term when I'm outside of the more academic circles, because the average person on the street, you say hallucination, they say, oh, that means somebody's crazy or they're doing drugs. And that's not what I mean. Hallucination, can be caused by lots of things, including psychic perception or some surviving consciousness can actually send you that image or sound. I want Jenny, to see me dressed how I looked when I was alive and when I was 25 years old, not how I looked when I died at 90. So intentionally externalize psychic hallucinations. But that confuses a lot of people. So when I go to an SPR conference in London, or I talk to people at the Ryan Research Center, I'll use the term hallucination. But if I'm giving just a talk to a ghost hunting group, or I'm just having informal discussions, I will not use the term hallucination because it's more trouble than it's worth.
No. That's a bad idea. Exactly. No, you don't want to be like, well, that was a hallucination. Someone's going to get very defensive, Randy. Yeah. Very defensive, very quickly. Yeah, and that's my point. The definitions matter. Like, I know what evidence means to me, but I think in this field, a lot of times people think evidence is there's proof of a ghost, not evidence, kind of thing.
When I use the word evidence, I give proof, because I don't think anything we have could actually prove a haunting or anything. And I say I got evidence of something, but I'm not saying that's proof. EVP it's great when we get an EVP, and EVP, you're getting something on a recorder, but that doesn't prove there's a haunting in that location. I call it activity, pretty much, if there might be an activity going on there, not like, a total haunting. Because, TV and all these shows change a lot of our saying of anything. Because you remember, Randy, I never knew paranormal wasn't used back when we first. Everything was supernatural. That's supernatural. Paranormal wasn't used and the way it's used now until after the show started in like the 2000s. But when I first started in the 70s, 80s, and stuff like that, I never used the word paranormal. We heard supernatural. Everything was supernatural.
Well, see, now my experience is different. The circles I was in and studied through, we didn't use the term supernatural. We used the term psychical research, which then became parapsychological. And then in the 90s, shows like Sightings started calling us paranormal investigators. I think they were the first ones to do that. Before that, we were psychical researchers. Supernatural was never a term used, again, in the circles that I operated in. Supernatural implying that whatever is going on is occurring completely outside the bounds of physics, science, and in fact, if it's supernatural, you cannot explain it. You cannot really gather evidence because it's operating outside of the laws and rules of physical evidence. Supernatural, things like demons would fit into supernatural, where paranormal, I think, is more accurate because it's alongside normal. It's something which is occurring in people's real life, during their normal activities, alongside the normal stuff, but it's a bit outside that normalness. But we don't think, at least most of us don't think, that supernatural. It's that angels or demons or God or the devil is involved in that. We think that eventually science and physics, neurology and biology and psychology will be able to give us some idea of what's going on in at least some of these cases. Because if we do not explore these phenomena through our existing framework of scientific investigation, then it's a futile approach. We have to use the tools and sciences that we have to look at this stuff. and just saying, "Oh, it's supernatural." Well, some people say that. I don't. I am not Ed Warren. I don't see supernatural. I
Right.
see things that we just have not explained yet. Just like if you go to
Supernatural
a
also
television
covers
broadcast to
things.
a Puritan in the 1900s,
Mhm.
there it's pointless to try to explain to them, oh, this is picking up, signals in the air, and the crystal is decoding this signal and making an image and releasing. No, you show that technology is done by back then. It's supernatural because it's impossible for them to explain it or understand it. But eventually, humanity, was able to understand. We can see moving pictures when there's nobody actually there. It's an image that's projected. Seeing an apparition, it's an image that's projected. So I think eventually we will understand what the mechanism, what the interplay is between the environment, what the human receiving brain is doing, and if there is an external entity or consciousness of some sort. I'm hoping eventually we'll have some kind of tool which will allow us to detect that and isolate it and measure it. We're not there.
Mhm.
Uh,
No, we're not there. But how do you describe the things I see and draw?
Yeah.
well, I can't. I
You know what I
can't
mean?
explain it because I'm not you and I'm not having those perceptions. I'm not seeing the same thing as you are. The general idea though is that you are perceiving things psychically,
Mhm.
which are could very well be there. And obviously, you think they're there, and I would not doubt that for a second. But you can see them or perceive them. People standing next to you can't. So your process for this perception is ESP, extrasensory perception.
Mhm.
And a lot of this, no matter what else is going on, whether it's poltergeist, objects are moving, whether it's clairvoyance, precognition, you're seeing a future event before it happens. Uh, all of this involves ESP, extrasensory perception. In fact, if there is a ghost there, and the ghost, you go into a haunted house and you think there's a ghost or an apparition there, and the ghost is aware that you're there. It's aware of what you're doing. It knows, when you're pulling out a piece of equipment, because it will move to another room. Or if you point your camera where people have seen something, or your EMF meter is going off the scale, you point the camera in that direction, the activity moves and it's now behind you, going, ha 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 ha, you can't catch me. How does a ghost, which has no eyes, it's not physical, has no eyes, how does it know where you're standing? How does it know what you're doing? If you're communicating, if you're using EVP techniques, and you're saying, okay, is there anyone here? Do you mind that we're here? I'm Jenny, I'm Jenny. Do you have anything you want to tell us? How on earth is the ghost perceiving that? They have no ears. There's no brain to process the audio signal. So by default, if a ghost sees, hears us, it has to be through an ESP process, which may or may not be the type of ESP process that a living person uses.
Mhm.
But by default, it is extrasensory perception because a ghost has no sense, has none of the five senses.
So you're saying
Right.
spirit has ESP?
How
Thank
else
you.
would it?
I mean, no, I'm not saying wrong because that's the first time hearing it, and I think it's a pretty good explanation how they perceive us. But I also think that if you say they have no ears, eyes, and all that stuff, aren't they made it like of electrical charge or something? And human beings in electrical charge, maybe that's what we could connect with also. How
Well,
bodies are made, the
there
brains are
is
made.
no actual evidence that ghosts are made up of any electrical charge or
Right.
physical ionized field. Those are ideas that people have looked into, and that's why we use electrostatic detectors and electromagnetic
Yeah, the EMFs and stuff
cases.
like that.
But the results of that, and I'm talking about going back through decades of investigations and field work. Some cases you might pick up an anomalous reading, but in 10 other cases you don't. So I don't think the ghost itself is a charged electrical field. Now, they can apparently affect your equipment. It may make the on your EMF go back and forth. But I suspect that you might not be actually detecting or reading that consciousness. It is okay to mess with your.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back
I,
in
I,
the,
I
back
got
in,
you. But what about the big, our audience is participating in your conversation here? Like, let's go because physics is my jam. Like, what about the big C word, consciousness? What do you think about that?
well, if a ghost is in parapsychology, we don't use the term ghost. It's an apparition, which is surviving human consciousness, sometimes visual, thus the word apparition, but not always visible. And again, when I say visible, we're seeing it through ESP. If you took a photograph of the lady in white standing on the stairwell, 99 times out of 100, you're not going to photograph what you're seeing because you're picking that image up as a psychic signal. But a apparition or ghost is disembodied, surviving human consciousness. At one time, back in the 1800s, there was I believe it was Edward Gurney, but I may be wrong about that. It was either Gurney or Myers, who had a hypothesis that while ghosts are not physical, they don't reflect light. Even back then there were cameras, so they knew you couldn't photograph them in most cases. But it was either Gurney or Myers who thought there might be something there quasi-physical, that there is what they called, what he called a phantasmagoric center, that there was some energy field at the location where you were perceiving this, that the actual physical environment was distorted to a degree. And that concept back in the 1800s is what led to people bringing in electrostatic detectors, trying to detect that, some sort of energy field or energy signature. And that's great. That's science. That's a scientific method. You have a hypothesis, then you test it. And we've been testing it for well over 100 years, and we're not getting reliable results. So if it's a ghost, an apparition, it is human consciousness. It's just no longer inside the body, which implies that your consciousness survives bodily death and can still interact with the environment and communicate through ESP. The problem with that is that's a great hypothesis, and many researchers and many parapsychologists say, yep, it's surviving human consciousness that survives the body even after the body is long gone. Well, we can't test that. We can't develop evidence for that, and God knows we can't prove that, because we cannot even prove the existence of living people's consciousness. We talk about, we have our consciousness, I'm aware of this, and consciousness is that which makes us us. It is our inner thought process, our awareness of what's around us. And we know we have it. You know you have a consciousness. I know I have a consciousness because that's us. That's me. That's you. But we can't prove it. There is no scientific way to detect, prove, determine where it's coming from. Is it generated by the brain? Is it a neurochemical electrical process of the function of the brain? Or is your consciousness not generated by the body? And that's how it survives after the body dies, because it was never really inside you. It's just there commingling with you. And maybe the brain tunes some stuff. It tunes to the right frequency to pick up something. Maybe you're on the right frequency for the brain. But we can't prove any of that. There is no test. Now, the beauty of our field is that people for well over 100 years have been devising tests and hypotheses, and they keep trying. Today, there are researchers. There's Gary Schwartz at the University of Arizona. has been working on a concept where ITC EVP concept. He calls it the soul phone, where he thinks that with the correct electronics, we might be able to make real-time communication with the other side. I'm very skeptical. Most of my colleagues are very, very skeptical. But Gary Schwartz is a legitimate scientist who runs the psychology program at the University of Arizona. He's the guy who worked with Alison Dubois, who they made the TV show Medium about. That was Gary's project. He's a credible, legitimate scientist. And he thinks that working through this technology, we can come up with a device where you pick up a phone and you call dear dead Aunt Edna on the other side. Again, a lot of us are very skeptical because he's not on concrete results yet. But it is completely legitimate and great that he is looking into it. He has a hypothesis and he's testing it. And if people didn't do that, we would never solve any problems in life. If people, didn't say, can I make a glass bulb glow with bright light so I can read in the dark in my house at night? People never asked, how does a bird fly? Is there any way we can recreate that? People didn't think that. Orville and Wilbur Wright never would have even tried to invent an airplane.
Right.
So I don't pick on anybody for saying, hey, what if it's this? And maybe this is what's going on. Maybe, try this technology, try this device, try this EMF. Yes, try everything. When new technology is invented, try that. Throw everything at the wall and see if anything sticks. That's why
I agree with that.
Use EVP, use ghost box, and I'm very skeptical of that. People using the SLS structured cameras which show the stick figures moving around. I am so skeptical of that. I'm not even going to discuss it because I will get irked talking about it, because I am personally convinced it's all BS. The computer in the camera system is desperately trying to find people, and it will turn it'll turn a chair into a person just so it can show you the stick person. But when the technology first came out, and investigators said, let's try this camera in a haunted house and see what happens. Yes, damn right. That's progressive science. That's thinking. It is not panned out, but it was a great idea. And if some other new device comes out, try it. Thermal imaging, infrared. And both of those, we've gotten over the decades some interesting results, but not on demand and not all the time. So it's not really, you can't say, okay, the thermal imager is what's going to capture a ghost on film. It may have done something like that a couple of times.
Right.
But, what, 2 times out of 1,000 attempts. But you got to try everything. So,
what do you think? There's times where the scientific method is it's just not applicable in this field sometimes?
No.
You think you can always apply the scientific method in the field of the paranormal? There are not cases in which it's difficult.
Well, the scientific method means make observations. You see what you see. You record what people are reporting they experience.
I get it. Yep.
And then you sit around a group like us and brainstorm. Okay, if this is going on, what could be behind it? What things could cause that? Could an electrostatic field cause that? Or maybe the house is under a high tension power line on, and your EMF is going off the scale. Well, we know, thanks to Michael Persinger and other researchers, and Bill Roll and Barry Taft, that exposure of the human brain to extremely high power electrical field, and not just a high power, but it can be lower power at certain frequencies, especially oscillating or moving frequencies. That can cause, I want to use that bad word again, hallucinations. Bill Roll,
That's right.
who I knew back in the day, is one of the world's top poltergeist researchers. Bill Roll thought that exposure to these electrical fields and being near high power lines, he thought that it could actually alter the brain and cause psychic ability. That people actually could possibly see a ghost, or experience something, or have objects move in their house. But it's a psychokinetic effect triggered by exposure to high power or high EMF fields.
Yeah, but that's a good hypothesis to
But
test.
it's a hypothesis, and we're not
Yeah.
proving any of it. So we're
Why
still
not though? That's not a bad hypothesis to test. Yeah.
so that's scientific method. So everybody who does that, what are people claiming is happening? What
Right.
could be behind that? Let's test this and see. If somebody is having nightmares or seeing evil dark shadows in their bedroom at night, well, where do they sleep? And I've experienced this personally. Uh, where does your head rest against the wall? And is that where you always sleep? Where you have you see these dark evil shadows at night and feel a sense of fear and terror in your bedroom.
Hmm.
What's behind your head and the wall? On the other side of that wall, do you have an electric junction box?
Smart.
Is your refrigerator directly behind that wall? And when the compressor in a household refrigerator kicks on, that
Yeah.
generates an incredibly powerful electromagnetic field
Really?
for a few moments. That can scramble stuff in the brain. Now, whether that's causing hallucinations or whether it's actually causing psychic stuff to happen around you because it's interacting with your brain wiring.
Yeah.
That's an experiment. You say, okay, let's move you. Let's move your head up against another wall. And if the activity stops,
Move the refrigerator.
move the
That's what I would
refrigerator.
do.
That's the
Move
scientific.
it.
You're
Yeah, I agree.
constantly
I
testing.
agree. And Anthony's a retired electrician, so he's like my expert on that kind of thing. Um, he's always thinking of that type of thing for me.
Who's thinking about
So that the scientific method that can be applied to any inquiry.
Okay, it can be applied. You started at the beginning though with the application. So walk through the rest of it. Do you ever run into issues? Controlling parameters, things like that.
Oh, there are always issues controlling parameters. Any
Yes.
investigation, you can't control all of the environment. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've been in so
That-
many places where people said, "Oh, can you hear these voices? Oh my God, it's I hear your voices." Well, yeah, because there's we're in New Orleans, Bourbon
Right.
Street, is right outside, and there's a million people walking down the street laughing and talking, and you
Right.
can't isolate that. You can never have. I'm not going to say never, but it's very difficult to have a completely controlled environment where you can control all these variables. But you have to try to the best of your ability, and you have to apply a scientific method. Now, you might not get any actionable results, but that's the method you try, or else it's not science. And if we're going to call ourselves, everybody says, "Oh, we're a scientific paranormal investigation team. We use science. We use very scientifical sounding words." Well,
Yeah.
that's great to say, but science is the application of scientific method. And if you're not
Yeah.
using it, then you are not doing science.
I agree with you completely
Now,
as a scientist, but I also know what they mean. They mean they're doing research, their own methods of research. They don't necessarily mean science.
Well, and extracurricular methods are great. I think they should be adjuncts and
I
add
agree.
on to a basic universal formula of applying the scientific
Right.
method.
Right. Right.
And there are some cases, when we talk about those high strangeness cases again, there are some
Yes.
cases which are so bizarre and off the wall, they do seem, at least to my layman's unscientific mind, because I know all the fancy words, but I am not a scientist. Let's get that clear. So I'm looking at this from a layman approach, but one who has researched the field, studied the literature, and talked to a lot of scientists. There are some cases which to me seem to be so far beyond the parameters paradigm of science and physics as we understand it, that there's a good chance that applying those filters to study it won't
Right.
work. And that's especially if you're dealing with like some sort of non-human external entity, uh, whether you want to call that, uh, or some people think poltergeist or that. There's some force
Right.
or entity that comes into our reality, messes with us, uh, maybe draws energy from a living person in the environment or interacts with them somehow. Uh, when you're talking about anything demonic or in the Muslim world, jinn,
Right.
anything non-human, which seems to possibly, I'm just brainstorming. I'm not saying this
No,
is
but
my
you're
ideas.
right.
People bring this up. Some people think, and I know and respect people who think some of this stuff is a dark, intelligent force of some sort that's not human. Uh, if that's the case, and especially if it's something interdimensional that pops in and out of our reality at will,
Right.
that is so far outside the bounds of classic physics as we understand it, that looking at it through a science lens
No.
may
No
be
way.
totally useless.
No,
But
you'd have to throw it out the window.
what else do we do? Because we don't know enough. Now, if other researchers out there, other teams say, "Oh, well, they use a crystal ball or a scrying mirror or dowsing rod," and that, well, if it works and nothing else works, go for it. Go see what you come up with. I
Sure.
prefer to use that as the adjunct to the more mainstream methods. So you at least have a baseline you're working from, and then try whatever, like I said, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Always when I first started investigating years ago, I went and I tried everything. You got to try. And I know at certain locations we use certain equipment because we find out we get more results from certain equipment. But you have to know your to me, you could do it inside a abandoned building or outside in a field. But there's certain equipment you got to use, and you got to learn what you're doing because there's too much out there, misused words, and right now there's with AI and everything. So uh, you don't know what to believe anymore when it comes to this. You know, it's a different era out here now, and so you'll see so much, like you said, people going in and say, "We're a scientific team," and they might get some results out of it, but I don't believe unless they are some sort of scientists that they're actually using scientific um, ideas to do any of this investigations. And to say you're a scientific team as a paranormal investigator, I come across a lot of paranormal investigators, and a lot of them don't have any abilities to um, have any sort of science behind any of their techniques.
No,
And
I've seen so many teams and so many investigators, especially ones that are on YouTube and sometimes get on TV shows. They're out there waving K2 meters or
Yeah.
triflow meter around, and they're going, we're using the scientific approach here. We're a very scientific team. Just waving around something that has a lot of flashing lights on it. Yeah, okay,
Right.
so what are you doing? Oh, we're detecting the spirit.
No.
How? Oh, through my K2 meter. How does it do that?
No.
Explain to me how this works. What is, what are the sensors?
Mhm.
No,
What
you're
are the
right. You could
detectors?
use a yo-yo for this scientific method.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use anything.
So equipment doesn't make the science.
Right.
Usually, when I first started doing a lot of stuff, especially for the TV shows, they wanted me to bring equipment because equipment looked good on TV. They wanted me to
Oh
bring
yeah, of course.
flashing lights and
It
like,
looks sexy.
woo!
Yeah.
We say that all
Uh,
the time.
and so
Bells,
I
lights, and whistles. Boom!
yeah,
Hey, look
Yeah,
what
so
yeah.
they love that. So I would use it. Uh, but left to my own devices, my primary approach is just to interview people, to take notes, then compare that with other cases, see if it fits in with the
We have done that
uh,
also.
hundreds of years of reported experiences. It's similar, or somebody reporting something that is so off the wall that it suggests that they're
Right.
not being completely truthful. Uh,
Like I said with my pictures, I'll draw a picture, and other people, describe what they seen after I drew the picture, and it's like the picture is, they're like, oh, and it's like, yeah, that's what you seen. So my pictures when I draw them, like I said, I feel that, and somebody in the audience said intuition. Your
Yeah.
intuition is your best piece of equipment, and I always said that you got to go with what
Well,
you feel, and
lucky for you.
and intuition is one person's word for what somebody else would call psychic ability or ESP.
I would call it psychic ability.
yeah, I mean, because you don't hear the word as much. ESP when I was coming through up in the '70s and stuff, ESP was all over the place. They were talking about shows. We were talking about it on everything. ESP, ESP, and I was always interested in that. And you don't hear it people saying ESP as much as we, back then.
It,
And I still
depends on where you are and what crowd you're talking with.
Well, what we're talking about more of the paranormal field, and
Understood.
especially on here, paranormal
Yeah.
field, skeptics, UFO people. You
Mhm.
know, we're not all parapsychologists here. You know,
No.
Oh,
I never studied it. I
absolutely not.
learned everything
But
I know.
parapsychologists are the people who came up with the framework
Hmm.
of the hypotheses, the theories, and first applied the scientific method to look at it. So that's
That's
the
right.
baseline. And they used and still use the word ESP. Like I said, I
Yeah.
think the easiest way to explain that concept to a amateur ghost investigator, and I'm an amateur ghost investigator too, uh,
Mhm.
but the best way to explain it to people who have not really researched the literature of the field is to say, hey, if you're seeing the ghost, you get five people in a room, and two say, hey, you see that lady in the red dress standing in the corner, and two of you describe the exact same thing, but the other three people in the room can't see anything.
Mhm.
That
Right.
is ESP. If there was a person in the room reflecting light, everybody in that room would have to see it.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
I think it's the best way to explain how ESP works in a haunting
Well,
case.
I feel if we go into a location and we see like certain people see and some people don't, and sometimes you got equipment on, you get a voice on one of your recorders, you got like three recorders there, and I feel that spirit or um, apparitions or ghosts, whatever they want to call it these days, I feel that we are not they we're going into their world, they're not in our world, and as we go into their world, if they want to share something with us, they will, and they do share, and maybe they share with me and not Jenny, or
Hmm.
they might share with Jenny and not myself, and I feel that it's because of they feel connection to that person more than another person. Maybe those two people that you said seen something and the other three haven't. Maybe they felt more connection to share with those two people and not the rest of the group.
It's
Maybe
in,
they're
it's
open, whatever reason they might. But I feel that spirit shares with us, and we could go into all the equipment you want. You go. I know guys spending thousands and thousands of dollars on cameras and all this equipment. Person with the simplest recorder might get something. I feel spirit wants to share with that person instead of the other person. So I feel that they have a connection to that person in whatever way. They might think they're like remind them of a parent or a sibling or even a loved one. So
right.
that's what I
I
feel.
agree with you completely. In
Yeah.
fact, there have
That's
been
kind of what you
cases.
said before, Randy. That even if they choose to make your EMF meter go off,
Yep,
they're
uh,
connecting with you.
yep.
Yeah.
There have been cases where a couple of people in a group situation could see or experience something the others couldn't. And as the case was researched, the history of the location and who the investigators thought might be who's behind the ghost. Uh, there are some cases where the researchers have uncovered that the ghost of a little girl, maybe it was an abused child or a victim of sexual assault. And the two people, the two females in the house who could see the little girl when nobody else could see the little girl, turns out they were the victims of sexual assault or they were abused as children. So there is, at least in some cases, there does appear on the surface to be that connection. And the apparition, the surviving human consciousness, is making a decision that they feel some sort of affinity or some sort of bond with those specific witnesses. Part of it could also be the reason that Randy doesn't see anything is that even if a ghost wanted to jump in front of me and go like this, and we did have some shared history that there was a bond between me and the ghost. My brain might just not be wired to be able to tune into that channel.
Yeah.
There's a trope, there's a saying, oh, everybody's psychic. Evidence does not support that. Some people are very psychic. Some people are slightly psychic on occasion. Okay? Other people are walking, talking bricks. That's me.
Well, I found that a lot of people in the science field, and that goes with Jenny, sometimes things don't come to you because maybe they do come to you, like you said, you're more closed off to it because you're looking at it more of a scientific way of looking at it. I said, and I feel that since you look at it more of a scientific, you're a little closed-minded to opening up that there might be something more out there, because you're so set in your ways. I'm not trying to knock you guys.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
And
like it's a channel you shut down.
It's like a channel because it doesn't make sense in the scientific field. But, I've been experiencing stuff since I was a little kid, like you have, and I, went to a different way with the drawing and stuff like that. So I don't feel when I go into investigation, I don't go in anywhere. Like when we go into like abandoned building, not abandoned buildings, but like closed down asylums, prisons, and stuff like that, or hotels or whatnot. And we don't go in there with the understanding like it's haunted. We go in the understanding and see if something will come to us and share something with us.
Right.
And that's how we go in. And like I said, working with Jenny a while, she sometimes is close to it because she's very scientific. And the people that are very scientific are, like I said, like you said, more of a brick towards it. I don't know why is it makes sense what I'm saying to you guys. I'm not trying to knock anybody.
Like he said, it's a hypothesis. Like that's a hypothesis. But our other co-host, Kim, she's a veterinarian. She's a doctor. She is an amazing location medium and psychic. And she's a scientist. So
Yep. I know scientists who are psychics.
really?
I've worked and do work with a handful of them.
However, what do you not experience more so what Anthony's saying? Because I do.
Well, there is in parapsychology, and again, that's why I have to keep referring to because that's
Right, of course, and that's okay. We want to hear about parapsychology. Yeah,
there's
that's why we have you here.
There's an effect that's been noticed in psychic testing. It's
Right.
called the sheep-goat effect. That sheep are people who believe. And, oh yeah, ESP, absolutely. I believe it happens all the time. Oh yeah, ghosts, sure, I believe in that. Ghosts are people go, oh, it's not possible. Anybody who says they've seen that, they're either lying or they're crazy or they're on drugs. The hardcore skeptic versus the true believer. You put those two different types of people into the same ESP test where you tell me what card is going to come up next, or tell me which way the coin's going to flip. Whatever type
Right.
of ESP test you're doing, the believers score much higher than the disbelievers. The goats have no effect whatsoever. Well, guess what? That's not possible. It's not possible. If you're doing a random blind experiment on chance where a coin's going to flip 50 or dice 50-50, or now we do it with computers. We don't use cards or dice anymore. But still, as long as you have the proper controls, you're given the same testing protocol, whether you believe it's possible or not, can have no effect on how you score. But guess what? It does. So that's telling us right there that the people who are the diehard skeptics who say, "Oh no, it's not possible, it can't happen," they are using their own psychic ability apparently to prevent it from happening.
Huh.
When by the law of averages, if you're doing a game of chance, which is picking how many times the dice rolls, uh, it's going to be chance, 50-50. If they are missing the call every time, and you're saying, okay, it's going to come up at 6, it comes up at 4, and it's okay, it's going to come up at 7, it comes up at 2. They never hit it. They're always wrong. That is psychic functioning at work. Instead of getting the correct answers, they're missing it, or hitting and missing, and they're missing beyond parameters of chance. So
Right.
yes,
But
Anthony's
in
right.
a different
Your
way.
mind,
Like one is going one way, one is going the other.
Going the
They're
other
both
way.
beyond the
Yeah.
parameters of chance.
So that
Interesting.
is definitely your mind and how it's wired can impact not just your ability to perceive things, but your ability to demonstrate a psychic game of chance.
Wow. That's fascinating. That's the Henry Ford quote, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Wow. That's fascinating. So Anthony, I mean, what do you think about that? So if I think I don't have ESP, I'm just going to get 4, 6, 5. I'm going to be maybe under, right? In my guesses, and you're going to be over. But they're both outside 50-50. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, you know, disagreeing with anything,
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
cool.
it's more like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's like a 50-50. Um, it's more of, you know, I think with the paranormal and all that stuff, there's too much out there right now that people are thinking everything is what they think is going to be right. I'm saying with the paranormal field itself, you know, and everything they show. See, I mean, I see
What do you
too much
mean?
stuff out there. I see too much stuff out there that's not true. And like I said, I experienced things and I learned things on my own through the years. It's not that I took classes and stuff like that. And I seen things as a kid to now, and that's how the reason I started drawing my paranormal stuff is because it was more of a therapy. I've been drawing stuff since I was 5 years old. I've been seeing stuff since I was 3. So I feel that in right now with the paranormal field, it's a different era than when we
Right.
first got into it. And any kind of logic we give these people out there, especially the new groups, I feel they're all in for money now and fame and everything.
Oh
So
my goodness. So much negativity, Anthony. Are you feeling all right?
no, no, I'm just I'm feeling fine.
I
Um,
know. I'm just teasing you. But no, you're right. And we do find that, that you go into a place and they're like, "Oh, there's a little boy who drowned here," and this is what I wanted to
yeah.
get into as my like I didn't mean, sorry, Anthony, you finished, but then I'm going to
No, no, no. Go
go
ahead.
on
Go
to.
ahead. Go ahead.
Is that what you're talking about? Like, we go there and they're like, "This is haunted by the ghost of a
Yeah,
little boy
it's
who
like
drowned," and
He's right with people to bring stuff into it and everything like it, their
Yeah.
feelings and everything, and you know
Yeah.
um so I just think right now there's a lot of psychics out there trying to putting things into people's brains, and too many people out there, and like you said before, it's too many groups out there, there's too many psychics out there. Everybody has an ability, but not everybody is in
Should
it for
use
the
it.
right reason. You know?
No, I hear that. I hear that. No, I hear that. Like, I think that I think the most important thing is that we know nothing. Like, I love that you said yet. Okay,
Mhm.
that's optimistic. But there's some people who think they've got it all figured out, and I don't agree with that. So that might be what you're saying a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody has everything figured out.
No,
And we're not going to know, and I keep on saying until we're the other side, and then we're all going to have to say,
true.
"Oh, you know,"
Or
and
not.
none of us in a rush to go find it out that fast.
That's for
You
sure.
know?
That's a long time from now.
Yeah. So.
That's a long time from now. Um, definitely want to talk about your presentation. I brought it up earlier, and where it might overlap with mine. And I wanted to get your take on some of the things I'm talking about because I think are going to have some great input into it. Um, I'm not talking about poltergeist, but I am in my talk. But I am talking about things like tulpas. Do you ever encounter that in your research?
Uh, I've read the literature about tulpas. Uh, I've never encountered that. Uh, well, I can't say I've ever encountered it because you don't know. If you're dealing with a
That's
poltergeist
right.
situation, how
Yeah.
do you know it's not a thought form that broke off uh, from somebody's consciousness? That they created something and now it's out there in the environment doing stuff. That's
Correct.
always been one of the ideas behind how this stuff works. And it's not just the amateurs who had the idea. The his name is fading me at the moment, but Dr. Adrian, who was the previous president of the Society for Psychical Research, Adrian Parker gave a keynote speech at one of our conferences where he's saying that he thinks that a number of these haunting / poltergeist cases are tulpas or thought forms, which were originally uh, the poltergeist manifestation from PK from a living person, and they were causing stuff to go out and pound the walls and throw the ashtray across the room, but it separated from them, and then the person no longer has any control over it, and it's out there on its own, sort of semi-intelligent,
Right.
semi-independent.
Right.
Uh,
I love
so,
that.
I mean, it's a good of a idea as anything else.
I'm in agreement that I don't know about separating, but I'm in agreement that more often than not that comes into play. I think most of the hauntings we encounter have some degree of that. And I mean, tulpas are different than thought forms, right? Because tulpas are created through discipline. Say a monk, right, would through discipline create a tulpa, right? But thought form might not be consciously created.
Yeah, a tulpa would be a type of thought form, but
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, just different, right? But poltergeists are related for sure, for sure. It's just such a big topic that I'm sticking to things like doppelgangers and things like that. Well, imaginary friends, which I maintain are a form of haunting, and also how we as investigators, like, what do you think about how we as investigators affect places when we go?
uh, I think that in 10 or 20 years, we're going to have people going up to investigate haunted locations that we've been to hundreds of times over the years,
Mhm.
and they're going to pick up place memories or environmental recordings of us. They're going to see an apparition of Jenny and Anthony walking around with the EMF meter with flashing lights on it,
Yeah.
because this applies to all of us. that if you have hundreds or thousands of people going to a haunted location looking for a ghost, hoping to experience a ghost, trying to detect a ghost, all that combined energy, desire, wishes, and hopes can actually encode itself into the environment, a residual. And I think we may be unintentionally causing some future hauntings.
Yeah, I don't think it's just residual though, Randy. I think it can actually manifest as activity.
I think to me is more of a whole conceptually, but can't rule anything out.
Right.
Even with residual hauntings, some people will experience a residual haunting and say that physical stuff happens. The door opened and closed and slammed shut. And more than one person saw it. So it really happened. It wasn't just them hallucinating it. But that shouldn't happen if it's a residual haunting, because that's just a recording. So it should be nothing. There is one school of thought, investigator back in the 70s and 80s, Scott Rogo, about it. Rogo thought that if you had a haunting where events, emotions, or encoded in the environment of the location, and certain people could enter that location and pick up on a sense of fear, a sense of terror, maybe even the ghost of a little girl run down the corridor and disappear. That the person who is psychically perceiving that, because you have to have two things. You have to have coded location, something has to be physically recorded in the environment. Then you have a person who can play that back. And not everybody, but if you have the right wire, your brain can act as a DVR and you can play it back and see it. Maybe that activation, your psychic center, your psychic abilities, can also trigger psychokinesis. And you're seeing the recording of things that have happened. But now you are actually causing things to physically happen in the environment. And maybe even into the motif of what the haunting is showing. If you see a little girl run down the corridor and go through the doorway, because at one time there was a real living girl who did that 1,000 times when she was playing, and maybe even not playing. Maybe she was running from an adult who was going to, beat her or worse, and that emotional energy records itself. Now you, as a psychic perceiver, pick up on that. You see the little girl, maybe you hear her crying, and then the door that she disappears through, maybe you, through PK subconsciously, because now you've bought into this script that's being played out. Now you're actively interacting with that script, and you have psychically through PK opened and closed that door that you just saw her run through. So there may be an interplay between different things going on, which are all part of psychic ability, and tie into the environment, which means physics are at play. And don't ask me how things are recorded into the environment like that.
Don't ask me how, because we'll be here for 3 hours, because this is an issue for me. This you just hit on something for me right there. Ask Anthony how I feel about place memory.
Yeah.
But I'm not a psychic. But in physics, I can't make that work in my head. But,
no, it doesn't work in physics, but at least not physics as we understand it now.
No, but
when scientists say we figured out everything, and scientists, not you, but there are scientists out there who say there's nothing left to be discovered. The model of physics, all the models have been done. They've been tested. That's it. And there's no major discoveries to be made yet, which is why psychic abilities and ghosts cannot exist, because we would have figured it out by now. Well, people didn't know that an atomic bomb would explode until they tested it at Los Alamos and said, hey, we can create a nuclear reactor. People did not know that you could transmit a television signal from a studio to remote TV until one day they figured out, hey, let's try this. This might work. Everybody, apparently in science or technology, is convinced that their status quo of knowledge is it. They've achieved the pinnacle of West. That's ridiculous. Science and knowledge continuously evolves and grows.
Yeah.
So when people say otherwise, a lot of people who should know better say that. My eyes roll. But
I'm
yeah,
still trying to figure out
there's no
fiber optics.
model to explain how this environmental recording can happen. There's no model today. Who knows what we can figure out in 2 years or 50 years?
That's right. I mean, for anybody to shut down and say, "Oh, there's no more," they're very ignorant, because I mean, there's something found new every day, not just with the paranormal, but with science.
Every minute.
Also. There's so many new things, electric cars, and we have all these different, drones and everything else that just came out 10 years ago. They were just saying, "Oh, maybe," but now it's like everything, everything's coming to, but there's a lot more to come along. Like you said with the TV. They used to come through wires. Now they're coming through fiber optics. I wired both, and when I went fiber optics, I'm like, how does anything come through that? Because it's glass. It's not a wire. It's glass, and how the light comes through and everything. So, and I used to test it too, because I used to use them, but I still can't figure out how stuff like that happens. And I'm just saying that's me with the fiber optics. But there's so many things out there that we can't explain, and I think there's a lot more to learn. And even with the telephone, and I've been saying that for how long, Jenny? Then one day with the spirits calling up on the telephone, and actually talking to us, it's going to be like one of those Twilight Zone, remember that Twilight Zone one with the little girl? And there was a little girl, and her grandmother gave her this old phone and stuff. It was like a toy phone. And the grandmother died. And the phone used to ring at night time. She used to talk to her grandmother on the phone.
Oh.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that's going to happen.
You think that's going to happen someday? But not the one he mentioned. Not that phone.
No, not that. I'm just saying
But
it's going to be something that we're going to actually, I think we will one day maybe do it. Especially with this AI stuff, because the AI stuff's coming through. It's doing so much stuff out there, and I think one day we're gonna get down into the paranormal field also.
Well, see that?
We'll
See that?
Well, you're talking about alphas and thought forms.
Yep.
The way AI is advancing exponentially, AI today can do things which are frightening. Now I've been seeing news reports of AI models escaping from the lab and going out into the real world on their own initiative and doing things. At what point can an AI become a tulpa? Actually, not just go through a wire out into the environment to do sabotage, but maybe can somehow generate its own conscious field.
I feel that's going to happen.
Go out. Who knows? It's like a Twilight Zone.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have control.
One day they're all going to attack us and kill us, like in Terminator. I'll be back.
It's getting late. No, I do. I think there's probably very few limits on that, and especially with a tulpa, right? It's not you, right? Like it has an independent, consciousness. Like it's not you. Like a doppelganger is you, right? Like I don't know.
Don't know. The people who've written about tulpas, they believe that they were a secondary personality.
Right.
And that break off.
Positive.
And usually you do exhibit some control over stuff. They'll go out and do some stuff. People will say, "Hey, I saw you, standing outside my porch, and I waved at you. And didn't say anything." What do you mean? I wasn't at your porch. I was, home, watching TV.
Right.
So that might be part of that doppelganger-ish, ultra-ish thought form thing. But there have been stuff reports in literature that some of these have just broken off completely and gone off on their own agenda with their own thoughts, hopes, and dreams. They've totally separated, and which is that's the way secondary personalities can work. It can be like a totally different person inhabiting your own mind, even more than one or two. If consciousness or part of consciousness can break off of the body, which is what we think ghosts are, then maybe part of your consciousness, your secondary personality, but not personality prime, but your secondary personality can externalize, go out and do things, go out and party at the nightclub while you're home, doing Bible studies.
Yeah, and I mean, it's from my research, it's overwhelmingly a positive thing. People who create them. I mean, it's overwhelmingly positive in terms of companionship or things like that. Like psychologically, it's a good thing. But you always think, there's always that 1%.
And you had mentioned the imaginary childhood playmate.
Imaginary friend, yeah.
That might tie into the exact same process. That the playmate is a ghost. It's not, from next door Sally who died 5 years ago is coming to play with another little girl. Maybe it's the only living little girl who created an imaginary friend. And somehow that imaginary friend has taken on some degree of objective external reality in that little girl's bedroom. Again, this is all very fine, but this is part of the brain and saying, hey, what do people experience and what?
We're running out of time. I just want to know: is there anywhere people could see you or do anything?
Oh my goodness, that went so fast.
Find any of your past, shows or writings or anything?
Well, like I said, I've not done anywhere as much work as
you have a website. Do you have a website?
I have a website, which is ghosthunter.iwarp.com. That's ghosthunter.iwarp. There's imwarp.com. And that's got a lot of my articles and TV show appearances and stuff. Not everything. I don't have copies of everything, unfortunately. I've done TV shows for Russian television, for French television, a lot of foreign stuff, and I never even saw the end product because it aired overseas. Nobody ever sent me a copy.
And coming up, talk about what you have coming up, if you don't mind.
What do you have coming up? You're going to be, I know, at Gettysburg.
Right.
22nd.
I know. I'm sad that I'll miss that.
I'll be in Gettysburg the 21st and 22nd. 21st evening round table where all the presenters will be discussing what is paranormal evidence, how do we define it, what qualifies as evidence, what should not be considered as evidence. Then the next day, I'm doing a presentation on the history of institutional paranormal research. Because unlike what a lot of people think, scientific paranormal research did not begin with pagans and ghost adventures in the 1990s, early 2000s. It began with the SPR in London in 1886. And continued through the Duke University's Rhine ESP labs to organizations in Germany and France, the Paranormal Research Foundation in Durham, North Carolina. These are organizations which have done either scientific lab research or going out into the field and doing field investigations of hauntings and poltergeists. And it's been going on for over 100 years. Nobody is reinventing the wheel here. And so let's just let people know that, hey, here's the history. These are the people who've been doing this for a long time. Here are the approaches. Here are the organizations which have crashed and burned. Here are the organizations which have been around since 1886 to this day. Just the overview that, hey, we here in this room right now are not the first to have done this, not by a long shot.
Right. Right. And we think some people think we are. So that's great to start to touch on the pre-show era, the pre-Ghost Hunters on TV era. Let's go back to the origins, which is really your thing, and I respect that. I love it. I mean, people in the audience are like, I've learned so much tonight, so we can't thank you enough. I mean, everybody's like, wow, I'm smarter. And someone else said, now I just have so many more questions, which to me, success. Because, do you agree?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
If I can have a discussion or give a presentation, and the main end result of that is people come out of it asking more questions than they had
Yes.
before they went in, and even having arguments amongst each other.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I hope that's what happens
brains
at Gettysburg. And to me
other
too.
things, you know.
I'm sorry, Anthony. We talked too long. Sorry. I could talk to him for days.
Yeah, we do have to end the show because we do have a
I
show
know.
after
Sorry.
us.
Hang tight.
We got it. Yeah, and Jenny always like, hey, the show's about to end, and Jenny's always I got one more question. It's like the show's ending. We got somebody after us.
I'm like Columbo. It's bad. All right.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
we got to end the show now, but I want to thank you for coming on. That was awesome. We
Incredible.
all learned something tonight, and have, like you said, more questions. You know, and a couple of things you said. Even I was like, that's pretty cool. You know. So I just want to thank you for coming on. We had a great time. When we go off, don't leave right away.
Hang tight.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. The audience, Jenny with her million questions, kept the show going.
The book came out tonight.
Yeah, the book came out. We're sorry about the echo. We had nothing to do with that. I'm sorry. I tried fixing it throughout the whole show, and it was StreamYard the whole time.
Yeah, unfortunate.
So I'm sorry about that. But I want to thank everybody in the audience for showing. Without the audience, we wouldn't have a show at all. And I just want to tell everybody, if you're going to go anywhere, you're going anywhere, you got to be safe. Got to be safe because you want to look for ghosts. You don't want to be a ghost. I want to say good night. Ciao, familia.
Good night, everyone. Thanks. See you next week.
Hey, how you doing?